Do we know anything more about ideology, motive, if he was working alone?
Yes, law enforcement, you're right, executed multiple search warrants last night, not only in Los Angeles, but also in Washington, D.C., in the hotel room where the suspect was staying. And as far as motivation, we are still looking into that. It appears he was targeting members of the administration.
So today, the suspect who charged at Secret Service while armed with guns and knives on Saturday is due in federal court. As we learned, he admitted his sinister plan targeting Trump officials. The suspect is no longer talking to authorities. Joining us now, Fox News contributor, retired NYPD Inspector Paul Mauro, along with Fox News contributor and criminal defense attorney Donna Rotunno. Thank you all so much for joining the program. Paul, I'll go to you first. Since the suspect has stated his motives here, what impact will that have in the first hearing in court today?
So I don't think, LJ, that we're going to get the upgraded charges that could result from the manifesto. So let me be clear. Right now, he's charged federally with essentially firearms charges and assault charges at the federal level. But the real implication here is, was he trying to target President Trump? Why? Because both President Trump and the vice president fall under a special statute, federal statute, a standalone statute that criminalizes trying to kill or attempting to kill the U.S. president. Now, remember, he wasn't in the room, and there is, it's a little bit of a distance, let's say, to connect him directly to the president without further evidence. That's why they went with these charges first. But eventually, using the manifesto, those charges will be upgraded. I don't think that's going to happen today at the arraignment.
You know, Donna, not to get into, his words, but he did shoot at a law enforcement officer. But there are some words that suggest that he shot at him, but his intention was not to kill them. Can they use that in this hearing?
Yes, Lawrence, they can use it, and they probably will. Obviously, intent plays a major part in any aspect of criminal law. However, you can argue all day long that your intention wasn't to kill, but when you are pointing a weapon and firing it at someone, that is the intended consequence. So I think the conversation is really more about semantics and language. Now, there are different distinctions under the statute, but it is very difficult, I think, for any logical-minded person to believe that once you're pointing a gun at someone, especially in, the torso, chest area, that you are not intending harm. So you can say whatever you want. And I think that the issue here is that he wanted his thoughts out on paper. This is really not what I want to do, but if it happens, I'm doing this for the cause. And so I think that's going to be a tough sell. So,
Paul, at some point, he was cooperating. And he had a lot to say when he was cooperating. But now he decides that he doesn't want to talk anymore. Is that common?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he may finally have spoken to a lawyer who told him, enough. Keep your mouth shut. Don't say anything without talking to me going forward. And remember, lawyer-client attaches. We'll find out today, likely at the arraignment, who his attorney is. We'll also they'll do a bail hearing or talk about the bail situation, which he's not going to get, and then he'll be formally charged. But, look, one of the things we should recognize is right now this looks like a ground ball. We have all of this evidence. You have the manifesto, et cetera. Let's assume they can do all the things you have to do to attach that manifesto directly to him, to make it synchronize with his actions. But we're in a jurisdiction where Donald Trump, in some instances with some strong cases, has not even been able to get indictments from a grand jury. So let's not take anything for granted here. They have to jump through all of these hoops and make sure they keep this guy in and build this case as you would with any other.
Donna, do you agree with that? This is not a cut and dry case, that this could be very complex considering the jurisdiction?
Well, I think Paul's right. There are a lot of moving parts, and anytime you're in a jurisdiction that's not favorable, you have to be worried. However, all of this is on video. This is all a circumstance where his own thoughts, intentions, words are all written down. So I think that there's a paper trail, there's a video trail, there's going to be a digital evidence trail, I'm sure. We know how he came to D.C., why he came to D.C., how he traveled there, the fact that he checked into the hotel. He's even commenting on Secret Service, lack thereof, the breaches in security. So I definitely think that there's enough there to move this forward, whether or not the jurisdiction is favorable or not.
Donna and Paul, thank y'all so much for the insight this morning. We really appreciate it.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.